Good morning. Welcome to another session on environmental impact assessment.
Unit 5 Case Studies. Course outcome: describe the EA for various infrastructure projects. Learning outcome: explain the EA for power plants. Specific outcomes: explain the impacts of power plant construction on the environment. So, a thermal power station is a power station in which heat energy is converted into electrical power. In most of them, a steam driven turbine converts heat into mechanical power as an intermediate to electrical power. Water is heated, turns into steam, and drives a steam turbine which drives an electrical generator. After it passes through the turbine, the steam is condensed in a condenser and recycled to where it was heated. This is known as a Rankine cycle. The greatest variation in the design of thermal power plants is due to the different heat sources. Right? Heat source can come from fossil fuels, nuclear energy, solar power, biofuels, and waste incineration. Right? Certain thermal power stations are also designed to produce heat for industrial purposes, for district heating or desalination of water, in addition to generating the electrical power supply. So that is the uh, basic view or introduction about thermal power plant. So in this session, we are basically looking at the impacts of the thermal power plant on the environment. So first one is the impact on air. So power plants after combustion of coal, right? Coal, because traditional power plants use coal. Nowadays, as mentioned in the last slide, there may be uh, various sources for producing the heat for the turbine. So in that case, there are some other types of pollution, but basically you have some uh, gaseous pollutants that are being released from the chimneys of these power plants right into the air. So the impact on air, so polluted load from coal-based thermal power plants. So what are the pollutants? Carbon dioxide, so many tons of carbon dioxide released per day. This is as per CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board, 2012 in India. Right? Particulate matter, the second highest, third one is SO2, and fourth one is, so the third one is NOx, which is the third highest, and fourth one is SO2 or sulfur dioxide. Carbon dioxide emission, 1 megajoule of heat input produces 0.1 kg of carbon dioxide. It also increases the temperature, increases the greenhouse gases and global warming. So annual greenhouse gas emission by different sectors, you can see that power stations is 21.3%, which is the highest among all the various other sectors like transportation, agricultural byproducts, fossil fuel retrieval processing, residential commercial buildings, land use, biomass burning, waste disposal and treatment methods, right? SO2 emission, so SO2 emission leads to sulfuric acid, which in turn leads to acid rain. NOx emission, that is nitrous oxides, oxides of nitrogen, nitrogen dioxide, nitrogen trioxide, nitrous oxides, right? So these are hazardous pollutant creating visual and respiratory problems. SPM is suspended particulate matter emission. A small quantity still goes out through the stack, and the particles of size less than 2.5 microns. So this damages the respiratory tract. So impact on the land: large area of land is required for coal-based thermal power plants. Right, 559 hectare area is required for dumping the ash of the power plants with a capacity of 500 megawatts. So due to the fly ash, natural soil properties changes and become more alkaline in nature. So changes in land use pattern, what happens is that erosion, loss of biodiversity, loss or change in the soil quality and quantity, huge diversion, acquisition of land in case of power plant with captive mines, right? There is dust pollution, noise pollution caused by civil works such as earth moving and building of structures. So this noise pollution and dust pollution comes in each infrastructure project. Why? Because each infrastructure project involves some construction activities, which involves digging up of the earth surface and moving up some components here and there, right? Impact on agriculture: fly ash is spread on the leaves of the plant, so they get less sunlight, photosynthesis goes down, enlarging of the leaf surface goes down, choking of the stomata, right? That increases. The stomata is the opening which you find on the leaf surfaces, meaning it's not visually seen that there's a stomata, right, which plants use for obtaining sunlight. for preparing food for themselves, right? So that is choked. Choked means it's closed. No gases exchange and respiration. Release of radon can damage the cells and genetic analysis of the plants. Radon is like a radioactive substance, right? Impact on the human beings. Carbon monoxide affects the brain, vision, and blood. Mercury and lead affects the nervous system. Nitrous oxide affects respiration, visibility, and immune system. Sulfur oxides visibility, natural waterways, and respiration. Radon it affects the respiration. So some other impacts: damage on the nasal lining, right? Nasal lining is the nose, right? The areas surrounding the nose, the lining is affected. Chronic bronchitis, the lungs, right? Asthma, same problem with the lungs. Tuberculosis, cancer, inflation, right? So due to beryllium, hexavalent chromium, sulfur dioxide, oxides of nitrogen, and radon. So impact on the hydrosphere: 16,000 to 28,000 liters per hour of water is required for power plants with a capacity of 500 megawatts. So that's a huge amount of water that is required. 28,000 liters of water per hour it is required to keep the plant running if you want to generate 500 megawatts of power. So ash pond decant contains, meaning you have some ash that is coming out, right? That is waste product from the thermal power plants. So the ash pond decant contains harmful metals like arsenic, beryllium, mercury. So due to this, the groundwater gets polluted and becomes unsuitable for domestic use. So what happens is that finally they pull the ash that is, sometimes ash is dumped as solid materials, like solid materials meaning in terms of powder. Sometimes it comes with water and it is dumped into some pond called the ash pond. So the ash pond contains harmful metals and it penetrates into the ground surface and reaches the groundwater and makes groundwater unsuitable for domestic purposes and drinking. Hydrosphere: if hot water is released in the water source, so difference in temperature between the feed channel and the return channel should be 5 degrees. That is the water that is available in the channel where the water is where this water is being dumped, and this water which is being dumped, the difference between these two should be more or less 5 degrees Celsius. So when it goes beyond 5 degrees Celsius, it causes thermal shock, decrease in the oxygen level, which affects the aquatic species. Ecological impact: increase in the metabolic rate, mortality rate increases, affects the reproduction of animals, aquatic species, and causes them to migrate to some other places. Right? Thank you.
Thus, we come to the end of this session. Thank you for your participation. Looking forward to meeting you in the next session.